suffer from your stubbornness and pride.
Such as the world has never seen on every leaf, on every stalk, until there's nothing left to drink. I set my scourge, I set my sword, thus saith the Lord.
You who I call brother, why must you call down another blow?
I set my scourge, I set my sword.
Let my people go.
Thus saith the Lord.
You who I call brother, how could you have come to hate me so? Is this what you wanted?
I set the storm, I set the
Then let my heart be hardened, and never mind how high the cost may grow. This will still be so. I will never let your people go.
Thus saith the Lord.
Thus saith the Lord. I will not let your people go.
Hello.
Yo, dude, how you doing?
Well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright. I'm alright. Doing good. Did you have a good week?
Yeah, not bad, thank you.
That's good, that's good, that's good.
Not too bad. Been busy?
Yeah, just stuff. Work, life, work.
Happens, right? Relentless.
Yeah. I also saw Dune 2, so that was pretty good.
I watched it last night, actually. Yeah, did you enjoy it?
Yeah. Wait, have you seen it as well?
Yeah, I watched it last night.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah, I really like the Colosseum fight scenes where they did black and white. I also enjoyed like the fact where it feels like you're witnessing. I think maybe it is comparable to like Anakin, like the rise of Anakin, where he's technically got like a good righteous purpose, but with all the prophecies and all these stuff and everything with the way it's going, you can see slowly. I don't know if that's what they're intending to do, but yeah, you can see slowly like becoming more of an anti-hero than a hero.
It's
Where
definitely a potential journey going along.
Yeah, where it's like, oh yeah, he's doing. It's like, wait, okay, we can.
Also,
Wait, did you have to do that? Wait, you already won. Wait, what? It's like, okay, holy war. It's like, oh, then he says this quite. It says this scene that he says this speech that gets like easily overlooked, where he's talking to. I need to learn all their names. He's talking to someone. Yeah, I think it's like his uncle or something, and he's like, "Oh, I've seen." I don't know what he says. It's basically, I'll just paraphrase it. It's like millions died or something like that, or die, and then his uncle's like, "Oh, because of I don't know what his uncle says, but then he responds as like because of the war that's about to happen or something like that." I completely butchered that scene, but it's kind of like a little like just hidden like. Ah, gosh, I can't explain it. It's basically like an Easter egg, just like foreshadowing what's to come. And where you're like, oh, it's like, wait, I thought that guy was the main bad guy. It's like, so if he's killed that guy, that means who's the big threat? Who's the villain? Like, wait, we thought that these were the bad people. Oh, this is a rise of like of a tyrant. It's like, oh. Yeah, the religious war makes sense now. But yeah, anyway, let's start the stream. Basically, if it ends up going on too long, maybe last week was a rare occasion. Just give me a nudge, and I'll try and find a way to.
Yeah, sounds good. I got another call at 9, so
to shut it down.
Yeah, make it a bit short, it'd be good, but yeah, I'm ready.
But yeah, then I'd never want to feel like I don't know how to explain it because.
No, it's all good, man. I appreciate you don't want to overstep or ask too much. I get it.
Oh no, not even that. It's like with the members. I don't want to make them feel bad because it's so easy. It's so easy just to be like, and then it's like, oh, okay, maybe I can't ask questions, and then the person needs to.
No. For balance the experience, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Um, cool. One thing I really hate about Discord is that does it? Ah, gosh, it'd be nice if there was like a repost feature.
Yeah, that'd be handy.
Let's. And welcome. Let me start the stage. Join to ask questions.
Here we are.
Welcome. Hopefully more people join. Welcome, Sinister. Welcome, Steph. Welcome, Spam. Welcome, Cool, Real. By the way, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand to come up to the panel or ask in the text chat. Voice questions have more priority over.
Always. There is no discrimination, but there is priority, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Real quick, it's about the same issue from 2 weeks ago, like issue. Yeah.
Hello, Spam. Welcome, dude. Feel free to introduce yourself and ask your question.
Okay, hello, I'm Thomas Sam. I'm from Uzbekistan. I'm 13 and I've got an issue. I like trying to lose weight, like 3 to 4 kilograms. How can I do it pretty quickly? I'm pretty nervous. Alright.
Okay, cool. Hi there. So just to clarify, you said you're 13, right?
And a half, almost 14,
And a half.
yeah.
Okay, cool. That's cool. Same applies. So generally, if
I
you're a
got
teenager,
some, yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. I mean, I
Okay.
got dumbbells, so yeah.
Okay, so generally, if you're a teenager, you're not going to be trying to actively lose much weight because you'll be trying to still grow and hit puberty and get your growth potential and height potential and everything. So if you are heavily overweight, we can talk about that. If you're trying to lose a little bit of weight, I recommend doing it slowly rather than rushing it. I know it's going to seem like it's the end of the world and want to do it really quickly, but if you do it slowly, you're going to have less of a negative impact on yourself. You're not going to be as tired. You're not going to have to worry about growing too much. So I would try to make some healthy swaps with your diet more than anything. Make sure you're active, you're moving. But unless you're
I
like quite
mean,
heavily
okay.
overweight, I wouldn't be trying to lose weight too actively. You said 3, 4 kilos. Is there a particular reason you want to lose that specific amount?
Not that much. I'm just trying to lose thighs. That's it. Just a little bit of them. Not the belly,
Mm-hmm.
just
No,
thighs.
sure. So I'll explain it now. Here, you can't really target fat loss. So you can't say, I want to lose fat just from my thighs because your body's going to just lose fat from all over. So you can't just try and say, I really want to lose it from my thighs. That's not really going to work. So I'd keep being active. I think you're probably still lifting weights, you training, moving, exercising a lot.
Yeah, I do. I literally have dumbbells right here, like 5, 10 pounds.
Okay, cool.
Will they help me? Will they help me or not?
Yeah, so you definitely want to be exercising, do some resistance training. I wouldn't be trying to actively lose too much weight, but if you're starting to exercise more, you're training weights, you may be getting out for a walk once a day, changing to some healthier foods, you'll probably be able to lose some of that weight and build muscle at the same time. I wouldn't be trying to actively try to lose weight because at the age you're at, you want to be growing, you don't want to be trying to actively lose weight.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And is there any other tips or is this it?
Um, Nothing in particular, really. I just make sure you're training your whole body. Make sure you're doing something with your legs, for your upper body, some pushing, some pulls. Maybe get some planks in there for a bit of variation and trust the process. Like your body's still going to be growing. If you're exercising, you're eating well, your body's naturally going to drop a bit of fat and it's going to build some muscle. So it's going to take care of itself, really. I wouldn't try to rush anything. Just try to enjoy the process and enjoy exercising more than anything.
Oh, okay. Also, a little last question. Recently, I have got a fat loss like carnitine, and I'm trying to. Should I use it or no? The carnitine.
The creatine,
Carnitine.
carnitine,
L-carnitine.
L-carnitine. Okay, so it's an amino acid. Honestly, I don't think it's going to do much for you. So if you have it, you can use it if you like, but I don't think it's something I'd recommend taking to purchase and use. So I wouldn't really bother with it if I'm honest.
I just heard that it's not appropriate for my age and it will
Yeah,
harm me.
I'm not sure it'll necessarily harm you, but I don't think it's got any benefit to it either for many people really. So I wouldn't be taking it if I were you. That's my recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, no problem.
Thank you very much, ton of spam. Really do appreciate it. For anybody else who has a question, feel free to raise your hand to come up to the panel. If you don't have a microphone or you can't speak, feel free to use the text chat. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. For those of you who don't have any questions, please stay to the very end. Listen, it's a great podcast. You might learn something. You might want to question something. You know, might want to build your repertoire, or you might just want to be involved in helping out with the community, or you might want to do it for me and just stay in here and keep your you know your tabs muted and just sit here and do whatever you're doing in the background, right? Really do appreciate all of the support. Yeah, so does anybody have any questions that want to come up to the panel? It makes for a good podcast, and I'm also streaming it, so would appreciate it.
We can
Wink,
go
wink.
to written questions as a last
Yeah,
resort.
yeah, we can go to text questions as we wait.
Got a hand up?
Oh, thank you very much, dude. Hello, Israel. Feel free to introduce yourself and ask your question.
I was just wanting to ask if it might be a personal question, but do you take steroids or growth hormones?
No, I do not. I have not taken anything to do with that, and quick policy for AO for that one. But no, and I don't recommend anyone does it either. To be honest, I wouldn't be the person to ask about that.
It was a question to both of you, both like the other guy as well.
No, mate. But if you do want to ask this
Okay.
type of questions, we do have policies against it. But you could verify yourself. So in the ticket channel, verify yourself, and there's someone who has a special understanding on it. His name is Doco. Personally, I'm against it, but like the education behind it, I do feel like nowadays in this day and age, there's so much misconception and information out there, especially on TikTok, and then a lot of people are very influential. So it's going to be kind of like a better way to at least educate people for the pros and cons, but they need to be verified with the mature role in the server, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Cool. Do you have any other questions, or was that pretty much it?
Do you how long have you both been in the fitness industry for?
Yeah, sure. So myself, going on 14 years, 14 and a half years now myself.
As far as me, I started pretty much playing as much sports as I can remember since I was like, I don't know, 8, 9. And then I started running track. I started with like schools, and I started running for my county, and then I got into D1 track as I was going into university. I did it for 2 years, and then I stopped doing it because it was affecting my education, and I realized that I had more of a scalable, path through education. So I just started lifting weights and doing more weighted calisthenics and a bunch of like sports, basketball, rugby, football with mates, just to keep up and keep in shape. So as far as like fitness industry, I don't know if there's like a specific timeline that I can give, but I've always been relatively active and in shape for like 99% of like my life as I can remember. Hopefully that answers your question.
Do you both think that social media's promoted the fitness industry in a positive way or a negative way?
Good question. Chris, do you want to answer
Well,
that first? I can go after.
Yeah, sure, I'll have a stab. So I think that's there's definitely two sides to it. I think social media has definitely brought more attention to fitness, and I would say fitness, but more to bodybuilding and sports and things like that. I don't necessarily think it's been all positive, because it's giving a platform to people who do take certain supplements we don't talk about, who misrepresent things, and they give people unrealistic goals and expectations, and can lead people to doing things they probably wouldn't naturally be doing or wouldn't be doing anyway. I do think it's good the more people lifting weights. I think there are more gyms now as well. Lifting weights and being into fitness and eating well is definitely more popular. But I do think there's two sides to it. I need to be very aware of information and misinformation out there. A lot of time I spend fixing misinformation rather than actually teaching people things anyway. So I think it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I think Chris answered that perfectly. I do agree it's a double-edged sword, but I do appreciate the fact that more and more people are at least getting into the gym. I think that's kind of like a good mentality to at least have in this day and age. Because I remember when I was growing up, there used to be this big issue with like, I mean, it's still an issue with like obesity crisis amongst like teenagers and kids and stuff like that. So I do appreciate nowadays like teenagers are more like proactive to wanting to at least, you know, do some sports or get into the gym or be active. But then I also feel like because of social media, there's a huge rise with body dysmorphia. There's a huge rise between like reality and, you know, and what's actually possible, and just like fantasy that's being presented on like TikTok, Instagram, etc. And I feel a lot of people are easily manipulated, so they just fall into a trap of believing what they see rather than actually knowing that if it's like possible or real. So personally, I'll probably do it more percentage based. I'll probably say I'm 80% happy that in this day and age, more and more people are getting involved in the fitness industry, and I'm happy the more people, especially like at a younger age, you know, we get people in the server like 13, 16 asking that, you know, they want to get started into fitness. And when I was a teenager, there was a huge obesity crisis where a bunch of people weren't interested in at least doing sports or getting into fitness. And then there was the whole body positivity wave. But now more and more people are going into like fitness and gym culture, so I appreciate that. But then there are the kind of like the 20% side of things. But I do appreciate that the kind of like the pendulum is kind of swinging to where people are being more outspoken if they are on PEDs, and where people are being more realistic in what they do. Authenticity is being presented more in like the fitness industry than it was probably, you know, 3 years ago, which is actually really good. Hopefully I answered that question thoroughly without rambling, but overall that's kind of like my answer.
Oh, you did thoroughly.
Do you have any other questions?
No, that was pretty much like in detail enough,
Perfect.
and quite a good period of time. What I want to lead that on with then is, have you experienced or have you seen, not just in terms of social media but also real life, that there is a level of social hierarchy within the fitness industry, and opposing to people who, you know, aren't on the same level of how can I put it, of a physical appearance to which someone would go to the gym, to where someone doesn't get involved with fitness at all. So for example, if you have someone who's moderately overweight but not significantly, you know, not on an obesity level, a guy who doesn't go to the gym, doesn't really, you know, take care of himself on a fitness level, and opposed to someone who goes to the gym like 6 days a week, would you have you noticed there's a sense of, how can I put it, is it toxicity or potential looking down on other individuals who don't go to the gym in such a manner to where they belittle them for not going to the gym, like look at them in disgust, if you understand what I'm saying? I don't know if I've explained that properly.
I think that's a good question, but I'll probably say there's levels to that, right? If you ever find, and this is also in fighting culture, if you ever find someone who's like really experienced and who's either been in the gym or been like a, you know, being an athlete for a long period of time, they're the least judgmental people, right? So for example, they've probably been through the ringer. They're more welcoming and appreciative of people. I personally think it's the people between the 8 to 1 year period, the people who are going through like the newbie gains. You know, they're young, they're naive. You know, they see, you know, their visible abs and they're getting a nice pump. They think they're better than people. But when you find out like the more advanced people who've been training for like 4 to 5 years plus, they are more welcoming for like new people. Like if they have a friend who's overweight, they would want to go to the gym with that friend because they know the benefit, they know the hardships, and they know how to help level up and improve that person. So I do agree there are kind of like different sides when it comes to like, you know, different factions in the fitness industry. I'll probably say more with newbies. I've only ever really seen it with newbies, people who are just like, so for example, people who are getting ready for like their first ever competition that's related to anything fitness or sports related. For someone who has like literally been competing since I was like preteen into like teenage years into early adulthood, I never would judge anyone or think like, what I've done is better than anyone else, because I've been in that competitive scene where you're like a local hero. So, for example, you're like a big fish in a small pond, and you go into the wild ocean, and you're like, oh wow, I'm so small in comparison to all of these people. So, more experienced people are more welcoming. They're nicer. They have like more of a better attitude towards like newbies. They don't have that hierarchy mentality, because you probably even see it in the gym. You see like the biggest guy or the strongest guy in the gym, he's like with a hoodie, suffering for body dysmorphia. Maybe he's like, slightly depressed. He's using the gym as like a way to vent. But you'd speak to him as the nicest person. You ask him for like tips. He's like in detail. He'll probably take like 30 minutes out of his workout to explain things thoroughly to you. But then you go to the gym and you see people who've only been there for like 8 months, like 1 year plus. They're the ones who are like excessively toxic. They're making a mess of the gym, making a mess of the environments. They want to record everything they've done. They want the world to know that they've done something. They're the most vocal, the loudest, the spamish. So that hierarchy only exists with like the niche, and it's only like the early mentality niche. But yeah, it exists. Hierarchies are always going to exist in everything in life, so it's not something we can ever escape. But it's not necessarily something that people should feel as kind of like as a distraction or something to like lose motivation towards, because it's always going to exist. If you're asking if it's because of like a personal experience, maybe you've experienced it recently, maybe like you're new to the gym and someone is kind of like giving you a bad taste, don't feel bad about it. Speak to the more advanced people. They're going to be nicer than the newer lifters. They're just always going to be the way they are, because it's basically like getting like a sports car or like something fancy for the first time. You want to show it off to the world, but someone who's got like a collection wants to keep it hidden, keep it protected, rather than be the most vocal. I don't know, did I answer that question correctly? I hope I did.
No, the reason I'm asking, and I'm not trying to shining light on anything different, is I'm not new at the gym. I've been training since 2014.
Okay.
And I've like in my experience, and especially because I've only been out of prison for 2 years.
Oh wow.
In my experience within the gym industry, and obviously how social media has elevated the gym industry, and you may disagree on this, I've seen a very similar sort of parallel mentality within the prison system, in terms of like the bigger people, the hierarchy of people, the people who talk down on littler people, in regards to the gym industry. And when you said that, I do agree with you to a certain extent, that it is more maybe the not newbies, but people who've been there for a bit, the people who feel the need to show off, or the people who feel the need to brag about like their progress. I do agree that it is more that category. But on the flip side as well, when you're saying the more experienced people, and I could be going off topic here by saying like the likes of Carly Muscle, Rich Piana, and other major known gym influencers, the following that they have, and the people who follow them. For example, when Carly Muscle, I don't know if you saw the video, walked into McDonald's through the pandemic and just thought he was entitled to do what he wants. And I don't know if that was because of his mentality of being the size that he is, and like the physique that he has.
That's probably because he's an influencer. Yeah, you probably have to break this down into like, sorry if anybody has any other question, but you probably have to break this down into like influencers always trying to get attention versus athletes versus your basic gym bro, right? So if you're talking about influencer, that's like pretty much a Pandora's box of its own, right? A bunch of influencers do crazy things for attention, right? I think during New Year's there was the outrage of, I think there was a bunch of gym influencers who were going into gyms with like painted outfits on just for attention and clicks or whatever. That's a Pandora's box of its own. If you're talking about an average gym bro, like your average gym bro in your local gym, he's the biggest guy. He's been going there for like 5 to 10 years, right? He works a desk job. He cares about his family. He just goes to the gym to pump iron, kill demons, and just mind his own business. Most of the time, whenever you see that guy, he's probably got like, oversized hoodie, just headphones in, locked in. But if you ever ask that guy for a spot or for advice, he's going to dedicate time to talk to you. But if you're starting to look at things from like the social media lens, and you're looking at like the influencer marketing side of things, where they're trying to capture attention, they think they've got this kind of like halo effect on them just because they're famous or known, that they can, prioritize their need for, their content versus other people's kind of like lifestyles. It's even in the pranking culture where a bunch of people will go to, like what's it called, like Wendy's or like McDonald's or fast food restaurants, and just like do stuff like people who are trying to make a living and just make fun of them just for like, oh, you got pranked, bro, type thing. That's the influencer side of things. So personally, I'll probably say separate the influencer side of things from the real life side of things. If you're talking about actual day-to-day working gym bros who go to the gym, they're trying to kill demons, they're pumping iron, they're not toxic. Like 99% of those people that I've met, they're the nicest people in the world. They either own the gym, they're close to the gym owners, they help newbies. If they see someone who's about to fail a PR, they're the first person to just literally run to try and save that person's life. They're the nicest people. So I'll probably say I understand where you're coming from, but don't let social media and influencers skew your perception of reality. And you can test this out in your local gym. Like the next time you go, let's say you're about to hit a PR, maybe on the bench or whatever. If you want to be really, really edgy, ask for a spot on the squat machine or when you're squatting, and that's a joke. But let's say you're about to hit like a bench PR or whatever. Ask like the biggest guy to spot you, and he's going to be so humble. He's going to be like, "Yeah, sure, mate." In a sec, yeah, sure, mate.
Yeah.
He's gonna want to, and then ask him a bunch of questions, and he's going to start building up dialogue because he feels like he's helping someone who sees him as like some sort of someone who's knowledgeable, right? But if you start using like the social media influencer marketing type, visuals to kind of like define your understanding of the fitness industry, then you're going to get a skewed perception. Chris, do you have anything else that you probably want to add to that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I think you covered almost everything on the planet, so that's good. But yeah, I just want to say it seems to be a bell curve. I think people who are really interested to start with are generally quite friendly, wanting to learn things. Then people hit about an intermediate phase and they think they know it all, and that's when people get quite arrogant. That's when they get a bit exclusionary. And then you get to the other way, when you get past that phase, when you're more advanced, when you've seen it all, that's when, like Ao said, you get a bit more humble and you've seen it all. You're not trying to be a big shot. You kind of know your own place, that you're not insecure. I think a lot of insecurity in the fitness industry, really. And I think it's absolutely right to say the difference between social media influencers and actual real life, because a lot of people who act like an asshole online, they'll be nice as pie in person in the gym. Most people aren't actually. People have a big personality online, and it's really important to distinguish between a celebrity showing off and their personality online to actual people in real life, because there's definitely a big disconnect there.
I completely agree with what both of you said in regards to obviously like the online realm is completely separate to like the average gym bro. The reason I brought up the aspect of influencers because these people are having a significant impact on if you look at the following and if you look at the comments of people getting into the gym and the mentality of them and how they're going to proceed in the gym and how their gym etiquette should be. So what the reason why I brought that up is I was asking is like, do you believe that a lot of people who get in the gym or have this gym, who are in the gym for a large period of time, still maintain this mentality and think that these influencers are the accurate way to act in the gym? Like this is
Yeah.
the way to. Does it maintain in their head of where they've got this godlike complex for a long period of time?
Yeah.
And I do agree. Like even when I've been in the gym before and I've seen like a lot of people who are experienced in there, they are nice as pie. But on the flip side, I've also seen people who have a godlike complex as well. And what I'm asking is does this naturally come from the gym itself, or are
Yeah.
influencers specifically toxifying the gym? Because we have also got good influencers as well, which for example I'm sure we all know Joey Swole. In my view, even though he's an influencer, is the perfect etiquette for the gym, the way he proceeds himself, the way he says that people should be, and how people should, have a shared space, and how being
Yeah,
in the gym
absolutely agree.
doesn't make you better than anyone.
Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. I will say I don't think there's anything inherently toxic about the gym itself, but I do think some personalities online will appeal to certain people who will then carry that into the gym, if you know what I mean. I don't think the gym itself is inherently a bad place. I think naturally it's a good place. It should be equal. It should be, and like you said, people like Joey Swole, big advocate of people respecting everyone, having women be respected in the gym, and also men be respected in the gym, everyone getting on with the things and behaving properly. So I don't really think the gym itself is toxic. I do think most people will grow out of that phase. Well, I like to think so. I do think it's more in how people, more what people bring into the gym rather than what the gym brings out in people, if you know what I mean. I think it's more how you respond to the environment and what influences you respond to better. If you're watching people who, obviously, people on TikTok who are out there doing pranks or being complete assholes in the gym, then yeah, you're probably going to be more influenced like that and then carry that forward. But I don't think it's inherently a bad place, and hopefully it means people grow out of these negative and childish ways of behaving and realize that everyone's in there for the same reasons to get better and feel better, you know?
Yeah, that's understandable. Does anyone else want to take the thing? Because I've asked like several questions here. Does anyone else want to go? Because
Yeah, it's all right,
I,
mate.
I just don't want to take a like. That's
Yeah.
all it is. But if no one else does have other questions, I'd just put forward just to keep the
The
conversation
podcast
going.
going. Yeah, sure.
Maybe
Does
it's up to
anybody
you
have any
in
voice
the
questions? We can do
questions.
text questions if there are any. But guys, feel free to raise your hand. Don't feel shy. Everyone's welcoming, as you can see. Just ask your questions.
If not, I'm going to go through the written ones and go through those because there are quite a few. I think I've been here for a while now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Israel, you can ask your question after we've gone through the text question. Thanks a lot for the
Yeah,
questions, keeping the podcast going. Good conversations.
No worries, cheers for the chat.
Cheers. Cool. So we've got my red rainbow. As a skinnier guy, is it much help to work out since there isn't much fat to lose in the first place? I've been trying to just eat more and I lose fat so fast. So is this a question you're trying to, and if he's still here, you may have disappeared, obviously in the chat or not. I'll try to answer it anyway. Is it much help to work out since there isn't much fat to lose in the first place? I've been trying to just eat more, but I lose fat so fast. If this is to gain muscle, then it definitely is a reason to try to work out, absolutely. It will come down to the diet, but also the workout that you're actually doing. So I will also make sure you're doing some structured resistance training, getting stronger over time. And yeah, if you're a skinny guy, I started super skinny, you can definitely gain muscle. There's definitely a point to working out. Didn't never give up, I'll say. Metabolism, eating more, blah, blah, blah. Don't ignore the veggies. Yes, good point from Cool there. Chicken, oil is, I don't think oil is the best way to go. Oil is rarely the best way to go. What is the best type of food to gain weight that can be turned into muscle quickly? Okay, so there seems to be a conception that some foods are more likely to be turned into muscle. What you need to gain muscle is to have enough protein and enough calories. So it's not like a particular food that will turn into muscle. That would be much easier, obviously, if you just eat a certain type of food and suddenly stick that on as muscle to your body. But that's not the way it works. So make sure you're getting enough protein in. So get some animal proteins in, get some dairy proteins if you want. Vegetarian sources also fine. Just get the protein in. No particular special food to eat to gain muscle, or else we'd all be eating it. It'd be much easier, wouldn't it? Social media got me into fitness. That's great. Can I ask a personal question? Sure. Oh, it's not about me, it's fine. I'm 5'10", 186 pounds and 18 years old. I have 28% body fat. It's a very specific number of body fat. Should I cut or bulk? And if so, how much weight should I lose each week? Okay, so I would say it's entirely up to you. 28% body fat is a very special number, so I don't know how accurate your body fat measurement will actually be for that. Whether you cut or bulk, so should you gain weight or lose weight, it's entirely up to you. I would recommend you to keep strength training, get stronger over time, build muscle, maybe eat maintenance calories for a while if you want to not gain too much weight. That should slowly give you a recomposition, so you'll be gaining muscle and losing some fat. So it's like you've got some extra fat excess to lose, but also a lot of muscle to gain if you're 18 years old. But I would say don't worry about the exact number of body fat percentage because that's always a crapshoot anyway. No one's ever truly know the body fat percentage. So if you feel comfortable gaining some more weight, have a slight surplus. If you'd rather lose a bit of fat, go to a maintenance, maybe a small deficit. But at this point, I recommend probably plenty of protein, probably maintenance calories, and keep up the strength training, get stronger over time. That's what I'd recommend for you anyway. How do you measure body fat? So there's all different ways to do it. None of that accurate. The most accurate way is to do it like a water pool measurement, so it's electronic is how much percent you have for muscle, how much non-skeletal tissue, how much muscle tissue you have, but I wouldn't worry about it too much unless you're actually going to be, there's actually no reason to measure body fat percentage because no one can ever see it anyway. No one walks around with a percentage of body fat over their head. No one actually knows what it is. They'll just know how you look and how you feel. So I really wouldn't worry about it too much. If you want to gain some weight, you're going to lose some weight, drop that. Joshua Flexton used to be able to do 100 press-ups. Okay. And did I miss a question? I feel like I missed a question. I missed an overtraining question, I think, which I said I wouldn't miss, so I will get to that. Yeah, so what does class as overtraining? So overtraining is dependent on each individual, but basically you'll feel burnt out, you'll feel tired, you won't be able to lift the same weights you normally lift, you may have trouble sleeping in things. Basically, you're not performing at your highest level and you're probably feeling weaker in your lifts and less motivated to work out as well. So to avoid it, make sure you take aware of your body. Sometimes you need to have a break. If your body, you can't be pushing super hard all the time. So if you're fatigued, like you're not feeling up for the gym, maybe every month or so have a session off, maybe just take it easy, just go lighter for a session. Realize that whilst you're trying to push and get stronger and build muscle over time, you're going to have a certain amount of body needs to recover at a certain point. So make sure you're sleeping well, make sure you're not in too low of a calorie deficit because that can lead to overtraining. Basically, overtraining is when you overreach your recovery. When you train so hard, you don't have the resources in your body, which is sleep, which is recovery, which is calories to actually make sure you can recover from training properly. So overtraining is when you train too much, your body can't recover from it. People will say there's no such thing as overtraining, but overeating, that's not true. You can overexert yourself and sometimes you just need to have a rest. I feel like I'm battering legs since I can't drink, or I think it's stopping my progress. Not necessarily. You can train your legs very hard, but if you feel like you're hitting a wall, you feel like I hit a plateau on weights aren't going up, or the same weights feel harder, or you can't do the same volume, then yeah, consider taking a lighter week, maybe a couple sessions off, and just reset from there. You're not going to lose any muscle from taking a week off, no matter how you feel. Body takes a long time to break down muscle, so take a week off if you need to. Go lighter for a week. Just take a reset. Walking more since my last question here, which is how to get over leg problems. It hurts when I walk more. I don't know if that's good or bad. That's my question. If it's actual pain, then it's bad. If it's some soreness, then your body will get used to it. But again, I'm not a doctor. Speak to a doctor for medical opinion on this. I'm afraid I can't really answer that one. Tips on how to deal with the mental part of training, like your muscles can do 20 reps, but you give up at 17. It's just digging deep for yourself, really. You need to realize when you're hitting a limit. Sometimes you have to push up to failure to figure out where your actual limit is. Got to dig deep, and you can only do it for yourself. So you need to figure out for yourself, and learning to push yourself and really exert yourself in the gym is also a skill you learn over time. So keep pushing hard, find your limits, go exceed past it, and then go from there. Following that, how do you determine a point where you're overtrained or just mentally fatigued? Your performance is stable, positive, but you feel tired or still sore in some way. Should you back off? Maybe push. So, oh, he's back. Almost had free reign, unfortunately.
Wait, dude, sorry, disconnected. No free reign around here, mate.
So yeah, if you're working with a coach, they'll be able to tell you because they'll have more information. But if you're overtrained or just mentally fatigued, take a week off, take a lighter week, and see if you recover from it. If you actually are chronically overtrained, you need to have a proper recovery. Maybe sort your calories out. If you feel tired or still sore, it's how much you want to get to the goal, really. So push hard. If it goes too much, then you just need to realize when to back off. It's something you figure out for yourself, really, unfortunately. The question is, oil is the best way to go, which I don't really understand. What is that relevant to? I'm lifting quite a bit heavier for the past few months, and I find that I'm sore for several days and I'm really tired. Is it better to take an extra rest day or push through? I'm not stretching enough after workout. Am I not stretching enough? I mean, having some soreness is natural if you're training hard. If you're really tired, I look into your recovery. So, are you actually sleeping enough? Are your calories hitting your goals? If you're training heavier and heavier, presuming you're trying to gain some muscle, so make sure you're eating enough calories to support that. Make sure you're getting enough protein in. Take an extra rest day or push through. It depends what your week looks like anyway. So, if you're training 6 days a week, you might want to change down to 5 days a week, but it depends.
Effective
Fortunately, it really does
fitness.
depend. Make sure your calories
Micro
fit, make
jobs.
sure you're recovering outside of the gym. But if you are too sore that it's inhibiting what you can actually do in your day-to-day life, then yeah, take an extra rest day. That could be a question. My grandpa says a calcium deficiency and to drink milk twice.
Capricecious.
I don't know about that one. If he says he's a doctor, and then listen to the doctor, but that sounds interesting. I don't know if that would fix it, in my opinion, but again, not a medical opinion. Oil is the best way to go in regards to gaining weight, but didn't elaborate. Did I? Okay, well, oil is very dense calories. So if you have a tablespoon of oil, that's about 100 calories. So if it's purely an issue of getting calories in, yes, you can have, say, a spoonful of olive oil, but do have a bathroom nearby if you're going to be doing that. But generally, you want to have more filling calories and not just have direct oils. They're not bad for you, but there are better and more tasty ways to spend your calories, really. Got a question up? Hand up?
Hello. I'm not even.
Hello?
Hello. Can
Hi there,
you
hear you.
talk?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Capricicious.
Yep.
Wait, how do I pronounce
Yeah,
your name? Just sorry to interrupt.
Just say Cap, I can guess.
Cap. Okay. What's the full name? Wow, did people leave when I disconnected? Such trolls, man.
Nah,
Like,
nobody
yay,
thought that.
he's
That was
finally
you,
gone.
must be
We
with
can
you.
leave. You know what? I know your names.
Must
There's a
be with
bod.
you.
There's a bod. I'm gonna jot all their names down and know who stayed and who left. But yeah, sorry, dude, to interrupt. Feel free to ask a question.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, like, so far I've been working out for 6 weeks and I've been following a consistent routine, and it's the same 8 exercises, and I've been doing the same ones for 6 weeks. What would you recommend changing up? Do I just increase the amount or do I change what I'm doing? Since from next week, like Monday, I'm deciding to like start actually lifting weights, and so far I've only been doing body weight exercises.
Okay. Well, if you're going from doing body weight exercises to lifting weights, you're obviously going to have to change the exercises. Um, it's hard to keep it the same if you're trying to do weights instead of body weight. It'll depend what your goals are, but I recommend to make sure you train your whole body. So make sure you have an upper body push, a horizontal push and a horizontal pull. So pushing away from your chest, pulling towards your chest, an upper body vertical push or an incline push, so like an incline bench or an overhead press, and then a vertical pull, so like a lat pull down or a pull up. That'll cover your upper body. And for your lower body, if you're going for full development, you want to have a squatting movement. So either a squat, not started with a barbell, or a leg press, and then a hip hinge, so some sort of deadlift, maybe a stiff-legged deadlift. And then that's pretty much A movements anyway. That should cover most of it. And then if you want to do more bodybuilding, get a curl in there for your biceps, more direct work. Don't be afraid of barbells. Don't be afraid of machines. Don't be afraid of cables. All are valuable. None is more important than the other one. But I recommend covering all those movements more than exercises, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But my current goal is to lose weight and just like overall lose fat, because currently I'm at 60 kilograms, which I think is about 132 something pounds.
That's right.
And yeah, I'm 16 years old and 5'5". So like, what would you recommend being like my ideal weight?
Okay. Well, I was down to 60 kilos at 5'8" before when I was incredibly skinny. So it depends really what you're going for. I don't think you've got a whole lot of weight to lose, to be honest. So maybe aim to be 60 kilos, but change the composition. So you try to build some muscle, and then hope then your body will naturally lose a bit of fat to balance it out. But I wouldn't be trying to actively lose weight at your body weight. If you try to get stronger, your body will build some muscle, drop some fat. So if you try to aim for 60 kilos still and then just reassess, it's impossible to tell at this point, really. But
Yeah,
I think,
okay, that makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah, no, that
okay.
makes sense. I get that. But like from my earlier question, like I'm gonna start lifting weights, but should I keep doing the exercises I'm currently doing and lifting weights, or should I stop those temporarily while I'm lifting weights and then like alternate between them, like one day do weights, one day do body weight?
Okay, right. No, it's a good question. There's no reason to split them up. You can do both, absolutely. I did mention it earlier, but bodyweight exercises are very valuable still, so you don't have to choose one or the other. Um, I'm guessing you're doing, say the same 8 exercises, you're doing them all in the same day. So maybe you want to start looking at a split routine. So maybe start training your upper body one day, using your press ups and also using some weights, and then have a lower body day in which you can do body weight squats, but also some weighted squats, some leg press, things like that. Because that's what I recommended. I think you can blend them both together. That would be a very good combination.
Yeah, no, I get that. So like, like the current exercises, like the ones that uh target the upper body, take those, and the weight exercises that would target the upper body, do them in one day, and then the lower body ones in another. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think you could do that. You don't have to do them all. If you're training, say, 4 days a week, split it in half each time. So half the upper body movements and half weights in one day, then train your lower body the next day, then do the other half the upper body movements, and then train the other half of the leg movements the next day. That's the best way to do it. Split out the volume over the week so you can do all exercises properly rather than trying to squeeze them all in and doing them a bit half-assed in the same long session, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely would have like just strained myself if I, didn't get advice. I probably would have just like, done like 16 exercises in one session and just
Yeah,
got
for sure. Yeah.
just been in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with enthusiasm, if you don't know, yeah, it sounds like the great thing to do, but yeah, it would be overreaching. So I think what we've talked about just then would be the best way to do it to help you build some muscle and get the most out of the exercises, hopefully avoid too much straining, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get that. So I also wanted to ask, like, what would you like put in regards of like diet, like currently like like I'm still living with my family, and whenever I try to tell my mom like, "Oh mom, I want to eat this to like, gain protein or whatever," she's like, "Okay, yeah, I'll make that." And then like 1 or 2 days later, she's just like, "You eat what I want."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it can be quite challenging. When I was in a situation, because I started about 16, I talked to my parents about it, and they basically said, you can have what you want, but you need to cook it for yourself, basically. So if that's an option, consider that and just do some very basic cooking skills. Like I started like having microwaving chicken and stuff like that. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy to start with, but see if that's an option. Maybe if you can be involved in the preparation of the meals, that could be helpful, but it'll depend on the family dynamic, to be honest, at the end of the day. If you have to eat what your family gives you, that's fine. Then we can talk about snacks outside of that, but that's what I recommend. Yeah, just have a chat with your parents about it, seeing if there are options a way around it, maybe being involved in the cooking. That obviously it tends to make a big difference, but you have to play it by ear. I'm afraid I can't give you a solid thing for that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I do sometimes try to get involved in the cooking process. But yeah, I think I should start cooking on my own. But like, what would you recommend? A lot of people say to just like, straight up eat rice and chicken every day, but I don't think that would actually be good since like, yes, it is a good diet and, good for gaining protein and building muscle, but I don't feel
Hmm.
like it's a balanced diet and gonna work properly for what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, chicken, rice, and broccoli is quite the meme, isn't it? It's just eat this, eat this 12 times a day, or so all people, celebrities say they do. And you're right, it's fine, but it's not inherently fantastic. Any sort of protein is good, so don't be afraid of, say, fish. Don't be afraid of some lean beef. Don't be afraid of pork. Um, any sort of meat like that is great. And then for carbs, rice is fine, but it is boring and it's dull. So different ways of preparing potatoes are great. Pasta's not the end of the world either. Pasta's absolutely fine for you. And then vegetables, fruits, all sorts, very valuable, very good for filling you up, giving you lots of nutrients without actually giving you too many calories. So yeah, if you can cook a couple meals a day, one with a protein source and some sort of carbs and vegetables around it. Doesn't have to be chicken and rice. I haven't eaten chicken and rice in years unless it's in like a katsu curry or something. So I wouldn't worry about eating chicken and rice all the time.
Yeah. So like, what would you recommend like cutting down and then increasing?
Well, it depends really. Make sure you focus on proteins first. Then I'd say eat some vegetables and greens, and then have carbs after that. I wouldn't worry about actively adding too many fats for now. But again, make sure you're eating plenty. You don't want to be eating super low calories because you'd be trying to build some muscle. So that's what I recommend in that order. I think AO just links a useful link of foods on the chat to use.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So like, okay, so I'm from Pakistan, which is a really religious country, and my family is also really religious. I'm like a little bit more toned down, but I still do follow the traditions.
Hmm.
So from the 10th or 11th of March, we have a month-long period in which it's called uh Ramadan, which it's like
Hmm.
Ramadan, which is
Yeah,
like,
familiar. Yeah.
you know, yeah. So in it we fast from like during the time the sun rises in the morning. So when like, this March, like the 10th of March, that's when we're gonna start. And the estimated time is like 5:30-ish, like that's when the fasting starts. So before that we eat breakfast, it can be really anything. Sometimes we just make eggs, sometimes, something else. And we fast from the time the sun rises all the way to when the sun sets. Usually that's about like 6 to 7 o'clock. So, and then we have a meal after that. And usually we have like, more traditional foods, but we do sometimes cook other things. And those meals tend to be more carb faced and kind of fat based because, like, a lot of the times when we make those meals, they're like deeply fried, like how do I explain it best? I don't know. I guess it would be kind of like a cracker, like deep fried. So would that be like okay since I'm fasting for like 13 to 14 hours and then eating that?
Yeah, it's a good question. My general recommendation, say I don't follow the religion myself, so I'm not an expert. I know I've read advice by someone called Yusuf before, which are useful for it. I'll send you a link if you like. But generally, during Ramadan, eat what you can and don't worry about fitness goals. Don't worry about body composition too much. If you're following the religion for it, let that be the focus for it, and just eat the food that's there. Don't worry about having too low calories or anything. Just eat food so you get through it and sustain and support yourself through it. Don't try to have low calories and fast at the same time. Eat all the food that's there, basically. There's always the rest of the year to focus back on fitness.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna try to cut down on calories because I'm essentially already cutting down on calories. Like the normal days when we're not fasting, like that is just, cutting down on calories because that's fine. If I go too low, then I can eat something. But during Ramadan, we fast for the entire time, like 14 hours, and we're not allowed to drink water or eat food, like anything, until the sun sets and the prayer time. But so obviously, I'm not going to be cutting down on calories because that essentially amounts to the same thing as eating three low calorie meals versus eating one kind of like high mid calorie ish meal, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it makes sense. It balances out.
Yeah, so like I usually just eat whatever, but would you recommend working out during that time, like during the fast, or should I do it like after the fast breaks? And if so, like how intense should the workout be? Should it be like what I normally do, or should it be like a lower intensity because I've, been starving the entire day?
It's a good question. I just linked a video in chat, which I think is going to be the most comprehensive answer from someone who's experienced themselves, who is within the fitness industry as well. So I check out that video there for a full explanation, much better than I could do here. I think that's the best way to do it justice.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I'll watch that video later. Yeah, this seems like a good idea.
Yeah, I'm not trying to shrug away from answering your questions. Just this is from an expert who's I learned a lot from myself and who's actually fasted as well through Ramadan. So I think that's the best answer. That's going to be better than anything I can do as an answer. I don't want to pretend to be an expert that I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. I mean, I like, I sometimes talk with my friend and try to like, get him to exercise, but I wouldn't tell him to anything. Like, I'm not an expert. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm getting advice from other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I want like my final question I feel like I should ask and let some other people come up on stage if they want to is I think you can see my current workout in chat. Like it was in the questions. Like I posted it, but I guess I could just tell you. But yeah, I wanted to ask if it's like, a good routine since I am trying to lose a bit of fat and also gain muscle in the process.
Sure. Where have you put this in the chat?
It's in the questions chat, like in the support channels.
Oh, okay. Just because of time, we normally
Okay.
do this for
Then if I
like
answer
30
that as
minutes.
a bit later,
Would it be all
I'll
right if
answer
you
on that
could,
on that channel.
yeah, if you could just send Chris the link to that question, and probably will be able to answer it in a free time. If you do have any like one more, because I think we've got like 4 minutes left. If you've got like one more question, and don't worry about other people. Most of the people left when I disconnected. They were like, "Yeah, A is gone. We can freaking."
Screwed up.
You know what? They say they love you, and then the moment you need them the most is when they disappoint you, right? I'm just kidding. Right,
Is that
just
what they
feel
said
free to
about me?
ask your question. Although I've just taken up probably like 30 seconds of that 4 minutes. But ask any questions that you've got in the voice chat. You're pretty much the
Yeah.
last question before we end.
Yeah, all right. So I guess um, what like, what would the mental battle be against working out? Since usually I try to push myself very hard and try to complete the exercises, and yeah, it kind of a while ago I kind of had a mid depressive arc where I looked at myself and just was not happy and I could not get over it. And that's why I started working out from the start of this year. I I told myself that I would change myself. But then again, it because of that change, that mindset of I need to change, I feel like that forces me to strain myself. Since usually whenever I do work out, if I for example, I do a 60-second plank every single day. Usually, if I put my legs down in the middle of it, I'm like, no, that doesn't count, and then I restart the time or try to do I can't do a full push up yet, but I try to do the hardest variation I can, even though my arms just die afterwards. So what would you recommend to kind of chill down on the mental battles so that, I don't force myself to strain myself and in turn just damage my own muscles?
Yeah, it's definitely hard to balance, and it's a good question to talk about. I think the real thing is to realize that fitness isn't something you're going to complete or going to speed run or do it really quickly. It's something that ideally want to stick with for life and get the benefits from there. In which case, I think it's good to look at it as bringing up the ceiling rather than, sorry, bringing up the floor rather than the ceiling. So bring up the base level, what you can do, rather than pushing yourself hard as anything every single time. It's always better, I think, to show up over time rather than try to work super hard and then burn out and skip workouts after that. So I think if you just take a time to realize that just working out itself is great. So commit to showing up and then letting what happens after that happen. So start the workout, start the first exercise, and if it's terrible, if you're feeling awful, say I can stop now, but you can also choose to carry on. And eventually it's going to build up the reps, you're going to build up the positive momentum and build up a lot of energy from that momentum that you don't have to be trying too hard all the time, and it'll become easy to push yourself over time. So I think it's definitely best to start working and let it build up rather than try to go all out at once. I think you can build up the discipline, build up the habit, and then from that it becomes more natural to push hard, and it becomes more of a ingrained thing. It's more of a habit rather than a thing you have to force yourself to do. That was my recommendation.
Yeah, that is good. Like, I do try to follow that, but it's just like the kind of mental battle where it's, I'm not happy with myself, therefore I must push myself. It's just that kind of mindset of I don't look good, I must look good. Don't If you wuss out, you're not gonna look good. And that's just like where my mind repeats. It's just that cycle again and again and again. But I could, I do like try to calm down and take breaks between workouts and just reflect on myself and see that when I started I was 62 kilograms and now I'm at 60, and that's a good sign. I am losing weight, I am getting stronger, and I try to reflect on that, and it has actually helped me out because now when I do fail, I'm just like, okay, that was good, I should try to push myself further, but I shouldn't strain myself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really good to notice and recognize how much you've improved rather than focusing. Yeah, it's good to focus on what you have done and what you've achieved rather than what you haven't achieved yet. I think that's the best way to positively frame it. So if you can go forward with that, I think that'll make a big difference. So you're on the right track. It's good.
Yeah, and just to add to that as we close, yeah, progress is always the best thing to focus on. Always look at yourself versus yourself. So try to be better than the previous version of yourself. Focus on improvement each day. Progress is not something that's always going to be linear. So if you feel like you're making progress and you get sick, or you have to go into fasting and you might lose some progress, don't let it upset you, because progress is like a scattered graph, but as long as it's like going through a positive correlation, you're on the right track. Overall, thank you very much, Cap. How do I pronounce the full name? I actually want to get that correctly before we end this. Just quickly pronounce it again.
Yes, it's just Caprasuchus.
Caprasciutus.
Actually,
I butchered it. I'm not gonna try again. Everyone laugh at me. Clip it. Whatever.
yeah,
Right.
no,
Thanks for asking the
no,
question. Really do
of like
appreciate it.
a long extinct crocodilian.
Okay.
Like it was a crocodile who could gallop around the land like a horse. So I thought that was just like a cool creature, and I wanted it to be my Discord name.
Okay, nice. I'll probably look into that. But yeah, overall, thanks to everybody who stayed to the very end. You guys are the true MVPs. The VOD's linked in the chat. Feel free to rewatch it. If you learned anything new, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chris, for your time. Really do appreciate it. Chris does have an important call shortly. But overall, ending the stream. Use the question section if you have any other questions. People who asked really good, like, detailed question, feel free to join next week. We want to make this a weekly thing. I do enjoy the kind of like the podcast segment of it, where it feels like we're talking about more pop culture and real life stuff. So thank you very much, Israel, for that. I probably might think of like a structure where we can probably have maybe like 10 to 15 minutes of that type of segment and then have the questions at the end. Because I think that, at least for me, was very interesting, because each week it feels like we're answering the same questions differently, but the more pop culture and like the more recent, real life type questions, gym culture versus like influencers and all these other stuff, seems like real time and very entertaining. But overall, thank you all. You can all leave. Get out of here. Leave. Be gone. See you. Bye-bye.
All right,
That's good.